I live really close to my son's school, so I don't know if you guys can hear it's recess, but a little while ago, by the way, it's like 61 here. It's going to be like 80 something degrees, but a little while ago, I talked with a new client who's coming on with us April 1, and they were really worried and upset. They are a large law firm in Dallas, and they were really worried because their SEO company that they had sent them an email that had them seriously concerned because it appeared to them, and they're correct, that they basically were going to stop sharing their website. Turns out that they seem to be unaware, my new client, that they are also their web host. So I wanted to jump on here and share some stuff with you all, some of the gross things that some SEO companies do to their clients, and how important it is if you are under contract. And by the way, Athena is out here with me. She wants to play. You're going to hear some barking and stuff. She likes to put her toy where I can't reach it behind me, so you have to bring it to me. Get it. Bring it to me. I can't reach it back there, so I have her trained to where she'll bring it kind of to the side of me, so you'll see me dip down a little bit to get her toy. Anyway, so we're going to talk about the importance of, if you have a contract with an SEO company, why it's important to read it, review it, have a general idea at least of what's in it, what your part of the contract is, and see the beauty of live stream. You guys get to watch me play with my dog with her coveted baby ring. Oh, and my other dog, one of them, I used to have an apple bonsai tree in a giant pot. He pulled it out of the pot, y'all, and my backyard's a bit of a mess. Let's see if I can see that pot right there. Yeah, it's gone now. Everyone, say a prayer for Ted. He is no more. He's out there in the middle of the yard, fucking dead. Okay, and you guys see all of this right here? That is going to be where my no-dig garden goes. Anyway, Bean. Anyway, so let's talk about some things that you should watch for in your contract. Of course, there is the first part of it, which finding out whether or not they're hosting your site. Of course, you should already kind of know that. With your site, did you have it up before they got involved? Did you already have it hosted somewhere else? For example, did you set up your site on GoDaddy, Wix, Weebly? Did you set it up through WordPress? Did you give them permission to access your site? Because several of my clients already have their website established, okay? So generally, if you already have it established somewhere, unless you said, hey, they offered you some sort of deal to take over the hosting and made it cheaper for you, this may not be something you need to worry about, but go ahead and read the contract to check, because maybe you entered into a 2 or 3 year agreement with them and they decided to go ahead and take it over. So that's just something maybe that you want to consider and look at, because you just really never know. So because like with mine, for example, sorry, checking a couple messages to make sure that they haven't written me back. Give me just a second. All right, it doesn't look like it. So the other thing that you need to watch out for, particularly I have found if you are in the legal space, and I actually found this out a few years ago, is certain companies, I'm not going to name them because, chance, I don't want to get sued. Let's start there. There are some places that offer these package deals, and I'm sure that this is also true for other, I'm sure it's true for other industries as well. I happen to know, because I work with a lot of attorneys, that this certainly happens for them as well, that the one thing that they tend to end up dealing with is they'll go through these companies that offer them a website and offer them SEO. And there are several things that happen. Number one, they end up with a website that looks like everybody else's website. And to some degree, if it's a template, that in itself, shush, I can't even reach it. You put it way back behind me. Go get it. Bring it to me. That looks like everybody else's, which, that can happen to you if you're just setting up like a WordPress website, right? So to some degree, I guess that's not that big of a deal, because if you go, maybe not with Confessions, I happen to like the way my website looks. Confessionsfromthecouch.com, by the way. There, I happen to like the way that site looks, but I do just use like a basic template. Same if you go to blackmoth.media, it's also just a template, and I don't keep a lot of content on there. I'm generally busy working on everybody else's website. Most people just find me by word of mouth. Crom, there's nothing else in that pot. You already murdered poor Ted. He's digging in the pot again, you guys. The joys of working from home, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So, basically, you keep putting it too far behind me. There's nothing in its own respect, except it can be really hard to stand out, particularly if you're in a certain industry that caters to the public. So if I'm looking for an attorney, let's say personal injury, and in my state, my city particularly, and I am going and I'm looking at 5 different lawyers, and I'm trying to choose one that I like the best. It can be difficult maybe for me to choose one if all of their sites look the same, because maybe they don't stand out as well. So then, of course, what you end up looking at is the content, right? Well, the issue with the content is these companies, they're going to generate the content for you most of the time, unless you decide, hey, I want to generate my own content, because most of them will allow you to do that. So if they're generating your content for you, the issue then becomes that you have boilerplate content. And there are some bad things associated with this. First of all, although some recent updates to Google does not penalize as much now for certain types of content that's the same. So for example, if you have your own website and then it also say you have 2 domains, all right, and one domain has duplicate content that's yours, and you're not going to get penalized this harsh. So take, for example, if you go to confessionsfromthecouch.com and you click the podcast, guess what? You're going to see the same content there that you see on Spotify, that you see on Google Podcasts, that you see on Radio Public. And I think I'm on Stitcher, but I don't remember. So, and then, for example, you might see on Medium a couple of the posts that are also on Confessions from the Couch, but not all of them. Yeah. You won't see this. They're not all there. But for example, the recent post, one of the more recent posts about working from home as a special needs mom, that's on both platforms, because there's not a lot of content out there about what that's like. Uriel's actually in school right now, and he'll be there till about 3:30. So I decided it was probably a good idea, because that content is so necessary, to put that there. It's also here on YouTube. And I ripped the audio and turned it also into a podcast, again, to kind of help reach a wider audience. And then here on YouTube and also through the podcast, I want to say it's episode 8, but I might not be sure. If you go here on YouTube and kind of scroll through it, you'll find an episode with my friend Amanda Trojan, and we talk about special needs again. But what I'm getting at there, it's duplicated, but I don't get dinged for it from Google. And actually, confessionsfromthecouch.com has some SEO work on it, but not a lot, because again, it's stuff that I typically do for my clients. And as you do that stuff for others, you just get kind of tired of it. Not always. Some people love to do it. You put it too far behind me. So, but when it's more of in a professional sense, you have to be super careful. Bring it to me. And in fact, go get it. Bring it to mama. I have another client who we have found, because of the state that he works in a particular area of law, they have some laws in that area that, compared to the other 49 states, the laws are extremely different and complicated. So he felt it was best that we use a vendor, and that's fine. And then what I do is I go through the content and change it to match the language and SEO. That's worked really well for us. And the thing is, you want to change your content up to make sure that you're not going to get dinged by Google. So you end up, if you're using vendors and they're kind of giving you the all-in-one service and you think, oh, hey, this is great, you have to be careful because, again, you're going to end up looking just like everybody else. The other issue, again, lines in with the SEO. So take where I live for Oklahoma, for example, which is Oklahoma. And let's say you have, there's a bunch. So I'm just going to use simple numbers. Let's say you have 1,000 personal injury lawyers in Oklahoma, and they all have jurisdiction. They can all practice here in Oklahoma City. And they're also admitted in Tulsa, and which is a separate jurisdiction, because there's Eastern District, there's Western District, because they can practice in federal court too in those jurisdictions. Because let's say they can also do bankruptcy. A lot of lawyers practice in more than one area, because I know some of you are just watching this to learn more about SEO. So let's say that all of them hire, it's getting warm, a content company like that. All right. So they hire a content company, and they all want a post about what to do after you're in a car accident, because that's valuable content, especially for people who have never been in a car accident. I remember the first time my now 23-year-old son, he'll be 24 in June, was in his first car accident. First thing he did after calling the police was call his mama, right? And that was actually dry lip, St. Patrick's Day. Let's see, he was 19, I think, when that happened. And so I drove immediately to where he was, to make sure he was okay. And he was fine. He was turning left, which automatically put him at fault, even though the other car was speeding. But let's say, that's what somebody wants. So that's what all 1,000 people want, because remember, they're all personal injury attorneys, and they're all in this state. And of course, they want it SEO optimized. Well, that company probably isn't going to go to great lengths to think about the city where these people are, or, if they're in towns like Elk City or Clinton, which aren't teeny tiny places, but Anadarko, again, not super teeny tiny. I'm just, I don't even know that I'm going to have people from those areas watching, but El Reno, again, not super teeny tiny. But again, they're also not going to think necessarily to add Canadian County, or I know these are not the appropriate counties for the cities I named. So if you are in those areas and watching this, I don't need hate mail. Blaine County or Noble County or Grady County or McLean County, or pick another one of our counties, right? Or the next major city next to one of those, they're not going to do that. So you're not going to stand out. And then additionally, you're going to be competing with each one of those that also bought the same service. So the issue there is the SEO company / content provider / website provider took all of your money, each one of you, and they don't care which one of you makes it to number 1 or number 2 or anything else. All they care about is the fact they're turning a profit off of all of you. Okay. So the thing there is, we don't have, in the SEO industry, we don't actually have a code of ethics. It's not like working in law. It's not like working in finance. It's not like, working in the medical industry. The only code of ethics we have is whatever we decide on an individual basis or as a business that we want to do. So you have to be careful about that and really think that through. And so Another issue that I know happens with some of those companies is, you set up a contact page or even their live chat, and someone, types something in to send to you, they want to talk to you or whatever. Some of those companies, and I know this happens, they will hold that information until you pay them for it. So I gotta get a drink of my tea. Hold on, guys. That is a serious issue. So you need to decide way in advance how you're going to deal with that. Do you want to pay for that? Do you not want to pay for that? How do you want to address that? Because those are your leads. Those are people that want to talk to you. And in my opinion, it's bullshit that they do that stuff. So keep that in mind, okay? You can also, again, especially if you're in law, I don't care if you're in law or not, but I work a lot with lawyers and law firms. You can follow me on Twitter at @TheRobinBull. I'm still in trouble on Facebook, so I'm easy to find on Twitter and on Instagram. So, another thing to keep in mind has to be, I just thought of something, sorry. I use a TENS unit because I have a connective tissue disease, and I just took a little jacket off. It was in my jacket pocket, and I don't want it to fall out and crash and break. So I have a little bitty one, so it works wonderfully. I to steer clear of actual pain meds. My bio dad, who was Chickamauga Cherokee, was an addict, and that's how he died. My mother is an addict still, and she's been an addict my whole life. She was clean for a while, and then you know how it goes. So I tend to steer clear. I think when I had a really bad case, I still have lymphedema. Once you have it, you can't get rid of it. It's in my neck. It's behind my ears. They put me on pain meds, and I took, I think, 1 or 2, and then I got rid of them. I only took it for as long as I needed it, and then, I was done. Anyway, fun facts about Robin. Anyway, something else you need to think about is the content itself, not just what I just explained to you guys. In the contract, if you have one, okay? So something that my soon-to-be new client found out, and it's something that goes on more frequently than you would think, even with companies such as I was just explaining to you, is who owns it. You would think that because you're paying for it, you own it, right? Even especially if you're an attorney, because who really wants to fuck around with an attorney, right? You'd be surprised. So whether or not you're an attorney, please make sure and read your contract. A lot of the times these companies will decide, I can't reach it, you put it too far, that they own your content for your website. So, and if you say, bring it to mama, I can't reach, mama can't reach. Good girl. Got her trained now. She's a little min pin, this one. And so when she puts it where I can't reach it, I tell her I can't reach it. And so she tries to put it in front of me. So they'll decide that when you leave them, they're going to delete your website. So you don't own your website. You don't own the data on your website, any of the marketing data, which is, I don't know. It depends on how into data and KPIs that you are. KPI is a key performance indicator. I'll try to get into that more in another video. I'm not for super edited videos, as you see, but I'm a real person who works from home. I've done this for 8 years. But they'll decide they own your content too. It's not that they decide, it's in the contract, and if you signed it. And as my new client just found out, and I'm not arguing with them, I'm not choosing sides, I'm not getting into it. Even though one of the attorneys is the one that wrote the content, the blogs specifically, and then the company went in and I guess put keywords in and kind of touched it up. So then what it said in the contract, and I'm not quoting word for word, is basically, we own the content. Oh, well, I recently downloaded all the keywords and stuff, and I don't know if maybe I need to go and get in on the back end and download all the blogs. I guess I'm going to maybe do that today since I have a login. Not that big of a deal. Is make sure you know who actually owns the content. With my client, they think they own it because they wrote it, but the contract says the company owns it. So, for my client, that's for them to figure out, because I'm not an expert in that. I'm not a lawyer. Don't pretend to be a lawyer. And as a paralegal, it would be the unauthorized practice of law. So I'm not getting into that. I don't know. But what I'm saying to you is read your contract, figure out if you decide to leave, who owns the content, regardless of whether they created it or you created it. And the other thing I would say is know what sort of information you're going to get from them. Are you going to get keyword reports every month? And if you do, keep those, because you need to know where you're ranking, what's going on. What sort of data are you going to get from them? Are you going to be able to understand it? Are they going to charge you more if you don't understand it and you need to ask questions of them? My little chair turns a little bit. Because if you decide to leave and pursue other options, or hire someone else to help you that will be more forthcoming about information, for example, and that will let you own your content, I let people keep what I create for them. It's one of the benefits of working with my company. Nudge, nudge, hint, hint. Is when you have the keywords specifically, it makes it easier for you if you have to move on to know what you ranked for. And if they keep everything and you have to start totally over, you kind of know what to aim for and where you ranked. And it gives your new company a place to start. And there's not a lot of starting over from scratch. And then, maybe even I would say keep a list of the topics you covered, so that if you have to start totally over with your content, you kind of know what to do. And hopefully, they can tell you how many clicks each month you got on your pieces, or at least what your top pages were. That's one thing we do, because, you may have, especially if you're not, I'm trying to think of how to say this. So the new client coming on has a great website, overall. Some of their blogs get hundreds of reads a month. Some of them get none. That's, kind of what I'm getting at. So one thing that we like to do here is I can't reach it. It's all the way behind me. Give our clients a look. That's a little better, Bean Bean. Give our clients a look at their top ranking pages. I don't ever include the zero ranking pages, because unless they specifically want to know, hey, how did X post do? Which I can just go and look. I can pop it into the software and it's going to tell me, which is also useful. But, with new stuff, unless you're promoting it, and I don't even know if they have a newsletter. I should find out. We have a call this week anyway. It's just things to think about, right? But you really need to know from the SEO company exactly how they work. If you're going to be competing against others who do what you do in your area, because if you are, the SEO company is just competing against themselves, and they don't give a shit about you or your success. Even if you're paying them hundreds of dollars a month, thousands of dollars a month, if you're paying them thousands of dollars a month and they have someone who does what you do in your area, it's kind of a waste of your money. I'm just being honest with you. And again, it's behind me. Go get it. The other big takeaway, read your contract. Go get it. I can't reach. The other big takeaway, again, make sure that you're going to own all of your content. Okay. That's on your site. That way, in the event you decide to switch and leave, you know whether or not you can take your content with you, and find out whether or not they have your site on lockdown and if they're going to delete your site when you leave, and if you're going to have to find like a way to rebuild your whole site again, like what's up with that. Because like now my client is down to the wire, which for me, I know it scares the crap out of them because they got a lot of content on their site, which again for me is no biggie because I've got a phone call scheduled for tomorrow. I've got to log in. Tomorrow's the soonest I could get the call scheduled, but I'm gonna do my best to take care of it. And like I said, if I have to, I'm just gonna log in and try to get everything downloaded, I guess, today, and I'll bill them. Even though our contract doesn't start, if they really want it taken care of, we'll get it taken care of. Anyway, that's some gross things that some SEO companies do. I hope you enjoyed this. Let me know. And if you have any questions, you can contact me through confessionsfromthecouch.com. You can definitely contact me on Twitter. Just give me a shout, give me an follow me there, or send me a DM if you have questions. Follow me here on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe and hit the bell. And of course, make sure that you head over to the blog, confessionsfromthecouch.com. Hit the subscribe button because I will make sure that this video ends up on there as well. And thanks for watching.